I want to say a few words about donor acquisition. Donor acquisition. You may have heard people talk about donor acquisition. It is a very expensive part of fundraising. There are individuals out there who say they'll acquire donors for you. And you've probably seen the news reports where organizations have gone into debt into the millions of dollars. They'll collect millions and then they'll end up still being in debt. And it's a terrible game. Yes, it does cost money to acquire donors, and that's why there's really two different functions that your fundraising organization will have. One function is in acquiring, identifying, and sorting donors, acquiring new donors, and the other will be in managing them, because different level donors with different donor behavior are managed differently. So someone who annually gives you $25 or annually attends your barbecue is treated in one way, is managed in a particular way. That individual that has shown the capacity to grow and to be a larger giver, they're segregated out and managed differently. And that's all managed separately from just acquiring donors. I've mentioned before those organizations out there who will do an activity, or they're out to get $25 or $10 or $50 gifts. They see that as the end all be all. That is their fundraising, not knowing that that event is meant to be an acquisition event. Those events are just to acquire, to make relationships, to get people involved, to see how much they give, if they spike, those types of things. And so let's really begin, for those who aren't familiar with this, to get your mind around what Jim Holman would call the two faces of fundraising. And it's really about acquiring donors, doing those activities that bring new people into the donor pool, whether it's a mailing, an outside event, or there's a lot of things that can happen where you're new people. It's the first time they may have gotten your brochure and they write you a check or they throw $10 in the till. And that's why we tell you it is very important that no matter what you're doing, anytime you're receiving money, even if you're not receiving money, if you're just out there doing an awareness campaign, get contact information, because what you're doing at that moment is simply acquisition. That is not the beginning and end of fundraising. That is the very, very, very beginning of sustainable fundraising that will carry your organization forward. And so you really need to know the difference. And the track is usually that you bring someone in, they give some money, you make an appeal, you track when the next time is they give, and if it's more than a certain time, then you may put them into a dormant file. You still work with them, but you don't invest as much time and money in those as the ones that are not dormant, that are more active or more recent. And then those that give more than expected, your spikers, or those who express additional interest, or who give a certain amount of money, then are moved into a managed pool. Those are managed in a certain way. Those that become larger are passed off to account managers who specifically deal with your larger donors. So there's a lot of activity that goes on, but I'm pretty much guessing that a lot of you watching this video today have been under the impression that your activity in collecting $25 from each person who comes to your chicken fry is the fundraiser. That is not a fundraiser. That is an acquisition party. If you break even, this is another thing, is that when acquiring donors, people will have something. They'll have what they call an annual fundraising event, which is a bizarre notion. That annual event should be the culmination event to announce success, big campaign, all of that. But if you're going to have 6 chicken fries, I mentioned chicken because I love food. If you're going to have 6 chicken fries at the church or at the local civic ballpark, every time that someone buys that ticket, even if someone donates the chicken, okay, so if you make some money there, that's great. But what you may not be aware of is it doesn't matter if you make any money there. If you end up at the end of one of those events with $0 new dollars, that it cost you that much to have the event. If you end up with $0 new dollars, but you end up with 35 names and addresses of individuals who want more information and who have given you, if those are new people, that you've acquired 35 new families or folks or individuals into your donor pool, it was a complete success. In fact, if you have an event like that and you end up having to take $200 out of your own personal pocket or out of the pocket of the organization, or some donor has to make up the $200 just to break even financially for that event, but you still get your 35 donors, heck, you may meet one person there that'll forever change the face of the organization by a major gift. You cannot measure totally your success, or even partially, of any event by how much money you brought in excess or lost or spent, there's no losing, spent to acquire new donors. You could have brought in $6,000 at that event, at that little get-together, chicken fry. Maybe brought in $6,000. If you did not collect one additional name, if you did not acquire one more donor, technically, by getting their name and address and information, oh great, you got $6,000, you're going to spend it and that's it. If you did not make a penny, yet got the names of several people who are going to give to you over the lifetime of their relationship with you, you may have actually profited $100,000 from that chicken fry and didn't even know it. And you won't know it until time goes on. But it's important that you acquire the donors. So do not think when you have an event that generating cash from that event should be your goal or your measurement of success or failure. It is not. It is, how did you engage with those individuals who attended the event? Did you acquire new donors? Did you tell your story, give your case statement, give out your brochures? Have you grown your pool of donors, your donor acquisition, in a way that then you can hand that off to your team that manages it? And that team may be you. You may be a one-person team. But then you take those and then you foster those relationships, provide opportunities for more giving. They get the newsletter, they are invited to events, they're a part of your small mini quiet campaign. You identify if they spike, if they're going to give more, so much more. So rearrange your thinking. Do not be event driven in fundraising. Big mistake. Be relationship driven in fundraising. And when you do that, everything changes. So this video here was about donor acquisition and management, to let you know that there's acquisition, analysis, management, nurturing, growth, to go for the larger sustainable gift and the predictable giving. So I'll see you in the next video.